How can a genie be liberated any more than she is liberated? She is what she is, you know? She's not the housewife.
Barbara Eden recently reminded the world why she is one of Hollywood's most enduring icons at the age of 93. With I Dream of Jeannie, the actress introduced enchantment, laughter, and a dash of mischief to American living rooms. Now, she is finally revealing her truth, and some of the stories she shares are more outrageous than anybody could have imagined. This is more than just the story of a popular comedy performer. It's a story full of shocking disclosures, behind-the-scenes mayhem, and scandalous rumors that demonstrate how extraordinary Barbara Eden's career was. Eden's Hollywood journey reads more like a story than a professional timeline, from a forbidden approach by Tom Jones while they were married to a secret phone number given to her by John F. Kennedy himself. Then there was the dispute around her belly button. Yes, her belly button, which almost led to her termination and caused an unanticipated media frenzy. The actual shocker, though, the truth about Larry Hagman, her co-star. They played one of the most unusual couples on television for 5 years, but behind the scenes, his startling actions created scars that Eden concealed for 50 years. You've never seen Barbara Eden like this before. Strong, scandal-affected, and incredibly fascinating. Eden's tale explains why Hollywood still can't stop talking about her, from her early years during the Depression to the heartbreaks that almost broke her, and the reinventions that kept her glowing. The story of Barbara Eden started away from the glamour of Hollywood. In the midst of the Great Depression, on August 23, 1931, Barbara Jean Moorhead was born in Tucson, Arizona. Families all around America were struggling to make ends meet during that period, and Barbara's parents, Alice and Hubert Moorhead, were no different. Opportunities were few, money was tight, and like many couples in those trying times, their marriage finally fell apart. Barbara's parents separated when she was just 3 years old. In pursuit of a new beginning, Barbara's mother, Alice, packed up and moved to San Francisco. There was no glamour in life. It was hard work, eking out a living, and constantly holding out hope for a brighter future. In the end, Alice wedded Harrison Huffman, a telephone lineman, giving Barbara a half-sister and a slightly wider family. However, money was always tight, even with the additional household. However, the family's spirit more than made up for their lack of income. In order to maintain happiness even during the most trying times, Alice sang to her daughters and filled their small house with music. Barbara was profoundly affected by those private, loving moments. She was raised in the Parkside district of San Francisco, a tight-knit community that was constantly working to make ends meet. Barbara has deep ties to San Francisco. Her family's history began with pioneers who entered the city on clipper ships and covered wagons. However, history didn't cover the expenses, and Barbara discovered early on that she would have to put in the effort to achieve her goals in life. Those early teachings of perseverance, self-control, and resolve would serve her well throughout her career and contribute to her current status as a legend. By the time she was a teenager, Barbara was actually performing, not just fantasizing about it. Originally a source of solace in her home, singing soon evolved into a means of providing for her family. She soon started playing with small local bands after joining church choirs. It was more than just the music. $10 a night was the pay for those engagements, which was a significant amount for a young lady at the time. Each performance meant bills that could be paid and food on the table. Standing under the murky lights of nightclubs night after night, Barbara learned how to command attention, project her voice, and captivate an audience. She performed with bands such as Freddie Martin's and Howard Fredericks, honing her stage presence with every performance. Although these were hardly glitzy settings, they offered her confidence, which was priceless. She became more at ease performing in front of an audience with each song, setting the groundwork for her eventual rise to fame. Barbara, however, wasn't satisfied with just singing. She made the audacious decision to join Actors Equity at the age of 16, demonstrating her commitment to making performing her life's job. In addition to studying voice at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, she enrolled in the Elizabeth Holloway School of Theater to refine her acting skills. It was demanding, juggling training, performances, and school, but Barbara flourished. Barbara was prepared to advance by the late 1940s. After graduating from Abraham Lincoln High School, she devoted herself to studying drama at City College of San Francisco. Then, in 1951, she competed in the Miss San Francisco pageant using Barbara Huffman, her stepfather's name. When she won, she received attention she had never experienced before. She fell in love with the spotlight after experiencing it for the first time. Barbara gained attention after winning Miss San Francisco, something she had never experienced before. She was suddenly noticed by audiences, producers, and casting agents. She continued beyond pageants. Barbara jumped at the chance to do anything that would lead to a job. The effort paid off. She was invited to appear on The Johnny Carson Show in 1955. Television variety shows were popular at the time because they provided a platform for acting, comedy, and singing. This was more than simply a job to Barbara. She gained national recognition and was seen by millions of people. She performed and sang, but above all, she was unique. Soon, even greater chances arose as a result of that prominence. She was cast in a brief but noteworthy part on I Love Lucy. It was a masterclass to work with one of the most influential ladies in television, Lucille Ball. Lucy had impeccable control of her set and unparalleled comedic timing. Just being on the same screen as her was both terrifying and motivating for Barbara. It demonstrated to her that comedy required more than just delivering a line. It also required control, presence, and rhythm. Soon, guest parts turned into regular jobs. Barbara had appearances in Perry Mason, The Millionaire, Private Secretary, and Highway Patrol. She gained new skills as an actress with every appearance. She had to learn how to give characters life, even if they were only in one episode, and swiftly adjust to various directors. Her role as the lead in the television version of How to Marry a Millionaire in 1957 marked her first significant break. She was entering into a part that required on-screen charisma and comedic acuity week after week for the first time as a series regular. It served as her training ground and her opportunity to demonstrate her ability to compete as a leading lady. Barbara Eden was prepared for a more significant job by the middle of the 1960s, but she could never have imagined the one that would permanently alter her life. Sidney Sheldon was producing a lighthearted sitcom in 1965 about an astronaut who finds a 2000-year-old genie in a bottle. The idea was originally intended to be more somber, but everything changed after Barbara tried out. Her warmth, sly timing, and inherent glitter provided the show with the much-needed whimsical enchantment. I Dream of Jeannie was the show, of course. Barbara became well known as soon as she wore the recognizable harem attire. She was reinventing what a television heroine could be, not just portraying a legendary genie. Jeannie was witty, vivacious, and humorous, and Barbara's charisma made her instantly memorable. The show's vitality came from the relationship she shared with co-star Larry Hagman, who portrayed astronaut Tony Nelson. Jeannie was impetuous and erratic, while Tony was rational and well-mannered. Audiences couldn't get enough of their never-ending comical pandemonium caused by their push and pull. Viewers watched week after week as Tony's well-planned life was completely upended by Jeannie's well-intentioned magic. The tone was established in the premiere episode when Tony was left abandoned on an island, discovered an old bottle, and unexpectedly met the charming Jeannie, who proclaimed him her master. It was a brilliant fantasy setting. From 1965 until 1970, the show ran for 5 seasons, and even after it concluded, Barbara's image continued to appear on television screens in America and abroad thanks to repeats. For Barbara Eden, Jeannie represented eternity rather than merely a part. The figure became ingrained in popular culture, permanently linking her name to one of the most cherished television programs. Behind the camera, things were anything but magical. Even though viewers at home thought Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman were the ideal weird couple. Despite his undeniable brilliance, Larry Hagman's actions on the set of I Dream of Jeannie went down in history for all the wrong reasons. In an instant, his attitude might change, transforming playful times into awkward outbursts. Hagman did more than simply complain when he didn't like a screenplay. He acted it out. The crew was shocked when he was reported to have peed on scripts and even pieces of the set, leaving everyone else rushing to keep the play going. On other days, he would show up on set wearing strange costumes, such as a gorilla suit, just to make himself laugh or cause trouble. It was more than just a peculiar personality at its core. Hagman used amphetamines, alcohol, and nicotine extensively in the early years of Genie to get through his long days and cope with the stress. His wild and unpredictable nature was nourished by what he believed would give him vitality. Desperate to maintain control over the show, NBC finally encouraged him to seek therapy. However, rather than helping him to relax, the therapist famously suggested that he experiment with LSD and marijuana, which only made him more unstable. Barbara Eden, who was always the epitome of professionalism, saw it all. She never downplayed how challenging Hagman could be, but she also acknowledged something unexpected. Despite his destructive nature, his crazy energy somehow contributed to the show's unmistakable spark. Only the genuine tension simmering off-screen made their explosive dynamic, her erratic Genie versus his prim astronaut, work. For the audience, that was hilarious gold. Barbara carried the turbulence of those 5 years in silence for decades. The headlines that followed Barbara Eden around were more important to her Hollywood career than her performing credits. There are still some stories that leave people in awe. She had an appearance on the wildly successful variety show This Is Tom Jones in 1969. The singer approached her backstage, turning what could have been a fun guest appearance into an awkward situation. He didn't appear to mind that they were both married at the time. Always the lady, Barbara delicately sidestepped, informing him that she had a spouse. His response? She dismissed it, saying, "So do I." However, the incident became one of those Hollywood rumors that persisted for years. She also had a run-in with political royalty. Barbara met John F. Kennedy at an airport back in 1957. He daringly gave her a note with his private number on it. Although she never phoned, the narrative simply served to heighten the mystery around her as a television beauty who was admired by some of America's most influential men, in addition to viewers. Of course, her belly button was the controversy that had everyone talking. Barbara's famous outfit on I Dream of Genie always concealed her navel. Rumors quickly circulated that she had been banned by NBC management, who even made her wear coverings that were the color of flesh. Comedians, journalists, and even rival TV producers weighed in as the media transformed it into a national discussion. Barbara's navel became one of the most well-known unseen body parts in television history. Despite the fact that it was ridiculous, many anticipated that Barbara Eden would disappear into the shadow of her iconic role after I Dream of Genie concluded in 1970. However, she demonstrated that she was far more versatile than being confined to being just Genie. Harper Valley PTA, a 1978 movie based on the popular country song about a single mother exposing the hypocrisy of her little town, was her biggest hit. Barbara portrayed Stella Johnson, a strong, smart woman who wouldn't be subjugated by those deemed respectable. Because the film was so successful, NBC made it into a television series in 1981, starring Barbara in the lead role once more. Despite the show's brief 2-season run, it allowed her to venture beyond magic and fantasy and showcase a more sardonic, realistic, humorous side to viewers. She flourished on stage as well. She dazzled audiences as Maria in The Sound of Music, demonstrating that her singing voice could easily carry a major musical. She later reconnected with Larry Hagman in the play Love Letters. Fans were reminded of why the two had enthralled audiences decades before by their emotionally charged and poignant performances. Barbara Eden had overcome the bottle and demonstrated her ability to continuously reinvent herself. There was as much drama in Barbara Eden's personal life as there was in any of her plays. After years of infertility, she married actor Michael Ansara in 1958, and the couple welcomed their miracle child, Matthew, in 1965. He was Barbara's lucky charm baby and the source of her happiness. But happiness quickly gave way to heartache. She went into a deep despair after experiencing a stillbirth late in her pregnancy in 1971. Eventually, the stress and professional demands caused her marriage to Ansara to fall apart. After their 1974 divorce, Barbara did her best to raise Matthew, but he struggled with addiction during his adolescence. Even with his parents' help and several attempts at treatment, Matthew's problems persisted into adulthood. He tragically passed away at the age of 35 from a heroin overdose in 2001. Barbara's sorrow was never concealed. She talked candidly about the suffering in the hopes that other families going through the same ordeal could find solace in her experience. Later, in 1991, she married real estate entrepreneur John Eichholz for the third time, finding security in their union. Barbara demonstrated resiliency through all of her losses and adversities, turning her pain into strength and refusing to let tragedy define her. Barbara Eden is 93 years old and still in the public eye. She is a living example of how some stars never go out. They only shine in different ways. She continued to appear in public, write her book, Genie Out of the Bottle, and support causes that were important to her long after I Dream of Jeannie concluded. As enduring as her profession is her philanthropy, she has advocated for cancer research, addiction treatment, and child welfare, frequently motivating others with her own traumatic experiences. Fans adore her for being the lady who transformed personal tragedy into a desire to assist others, not simply for being the genie they fell in love with on TV. A star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, an honorary law degree, and the respect of audiences of all ages are just a few of the accolades that have followed her everywhere. She has even made appearances at conventions, comic cons, and fan gatherings in recent years, where she has met fans who have grown up watching her, as well as new fans who are just now becoming aware of her. They all agree that Barbara Eden remains as kind, gracious, and vibrant as ever. Fame isn't the only aspect of her story. It's about heart, reimagining, and survival. Barbara Eden has demonstrated that magic is more than just what you see on television. From her difficulties during the Great Depression to her success in Hollywood, from her tragic personal losses to her eventual discovery of serenity, sometimes it's the fortitude to continue when everyone else believes your tale is over. Because of this, people are still talking about her. In your opinion, is Barbara Eden the final surviving representative of the golden age of television? For more untold Hollywood stories, please leave a comment below and remember to like, share, and subscribe.